Welcome to Beth's Happy Home. This is the time of year in the fall when farmers, cattlemen specifically, are interested in slaughtering their beef that they can't afford to overwinter. First thing to can your meat is to find the leanest roasts that you can find, and then you just cut them up into small chunks, and you can kind of see this is about the size. So stuff them down in your pint jars. Now I like to use pint jars because it's just Jeff and me, and 1 pint will hold quite a bit. Get them as tightly packed as you can. And then my favorite broth to pour over them is this Better Than Bouillon. I buy this at Costco, but you can get it at most grocery stores. It's a little bit more pricey, but it has a wonderful flavor, and it will supply the salt. If you don't want to go to the expense of using something like this, add a half a teaspoon of salt per pint. So once you have your meat all stuffed in there, pour the broth over it, but you're going to have a lot of air bubbles down lower in that bottle, and so you're going to need to push it down with a spoon so that you get those air bubbles to come up. And then once you have that done, if you need to add a little bit more broth, you want it right up here to the neck of the jar. And so this one is also, these are all filled. All right, these all have their broth in them. And now I'm going to wipe off each rim very carefully. In fact, with meat, I not only wipe it with a damp paper towel, I come back with a dry paper towel, just in case there's a grain of salt or something that may have stuck to the top. And then you screw on your lid. Now these are just 2-part lids like you use for fruits or vegetables. And they don't need to be boiled or sterilized, nor do the jars need to be sterilized, because they're going to be cooked at such a high temperature in the pressure cooker that they will be very, very sterile by the time you're done. 1 canner, this is a 12-quart size canner. It will hold 8 pints. If you're using a hot pot, it will hold 4 pints, and a hot pot works just fine on the high pressure. Do it for an hour just like you would in this one, and make sure that you put a quart of water in the bottom of your hot pot if that's what you're going to use. All right, I've got my jars all arranged in my canner. So I'm going to add 3 quarts of water to my pressure cooker. I'll put the lid on, and then I'm going to turn the fire on high, and as soon as there's steam coming out the top, I'll put the cap on, and when it starts to do its little hiss 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 noise, then I will start timing, and I will time it 10 pounds of pressure for 1 hour, and then I will let it cool on its own. And when it is cooled on its own with all the pressure gone, then I will remove the jars and let them finish cooling on the counter. So I'll show you what they look like when they're done. Okay, it's the moment of truth. It's always a little bit exciting to see if everything worked perfectly inside the pressure canner. I know there's no more pressure in here because if I lift this little weight just a tiny bit, there's no hissing, there's no pressure left in there. So I will set that aside. Also, my lid would not open if there was any pressure left because there's a safety valve in the handle, but it's been sitting for about 40 minutes, and so it's completely lost all the pressure. So it looks really good. Let me pull these out. This is a jar lifter. It's ideal for hot jars. And everything looks just perfect in there. These are going to be so great when I have a busy day and I just want to make some beef gravy over mashed potatoes or chili or something quick, a beef soup, a beef stew, anything where I want to just pop it together really, really quickly. This is going to be so convenient and flavorful. And it has the big advantage of not needing refrigeration, and these will last for several years. It is very hot. These will last for years on the pantry shelf without ever needing any refrigeration until they're open. And Some of these jars have already sealed. I can tell by the depression in the middle of the lid. That one is one that is already sealed. So after these have cooled, I will wash the jars, and then I'm going to write on the lids what's inside and when they were canned, and then they will be ready and waiting this year, next year, 3 years from now. If the power goes out in the meantime, I don't need to worry about the storage in the freezer because they're shelf stable just the way they are for several years to come. Anyway, thanks for watching. I have lots of tricks up my sleeve, so you'll want to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of the interesting homemaking tricks and preparedness tips that are coming your way.